Hey book nerds, welcome back to Ray Reed's channel, and today I'm going to have a quick blast through the mid-year book Freakout tag, which is one of these YouTube tags, basically having a quick check-in halfway through the year. So, there's 14 questions to get through, so I'll try and be as quick as possible. So question 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2020. And this one I found a bit difficult to answer. I've only had 2 5-star things I've read, and one of them was a sneak peek, so it wasn't technically the full book. So the other 5-star was Invisible Differences, which I talked about in my May wrap-up. Other books that I thought that got 4 stars that I think were really up there were Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, Salt Slow, which I also talked about last week, and The Nothing Man, which is also something I mentioned previously. Question 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2020. The only sequels that I've read so far in 2020 are Heartstopper 2 and 3, and they were both great. So they both got 5 stars. I read them a lot earlier in the year. So yeah, I can't pick between the 2 of them which one's better. I guess maybe 3, because that's the one where they go to Paris and it's a bit of a change up in scenery. So yeah, Heartstopper 2 and 3 by Alice Oseman. New releases you haven't read yet but want to. Hood Feminism, which released, I think it was either March or May this year. I've got it on ebook and I want to read it fairly soon. And then Mexican Gothic, but that hasn't technically released yet, which is by Silvia Moreno-Garcia, who is the author of this book that I'm still getting through. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. If you asked me this earlier in 2020, this wouldn't have been my answer because I only came across it very recently. But it would be, at the moment, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which is the sneak peek from the Christopher Paolini book that I read in May. And I would like to finish the book. I believe it's going to be something like 880 pages. The sneak peek was about 290, so there's a good nearly like 500 to finish. But that doesn't come out till September. So I'm quite excited about that one. 5, the biggest disappointment was a short audio book recording of something called The Hospital, which was like a zero in a series. So it's like a prequel to an existing series, and it's some sort of zombie apocalypse type thing, and it was just trash. It was terrible. Yeah, it was not worth. It was free on Audible, and even then it was a waste of the time and effort that it took to listen to it. It was crap. Moving on. The biggest surprise, I found the biggest surprise to be The Nothing Man, because I was a little bit apprehensive because the title sounds a bit crap, and sometimes thrillers, when they've got a bit of a naff title, they tend to end, I'm a bit iffy on them, and I wasn't 100% sure about the concept of the book inside the book, but it turned out to be, as I mentioned earlier, one of the better books that I've read so far this year. So The Nothing Man. Favourite new author, either debut or new to me. So that would be Julia Armfield, or I'm putting her as the proper answer, but also Silvia Moreno-Garcia. But I haven't technically finished this book yet, and this would be the first of hers that I've read. but I really like it, and I want to read Mexican Gothic, which is coming out this summer. So she gets an honourable mention to me. Newest fictional crush? None. I don't really get fictional crushes from books. Sometimes from TV shows, maybe films, but not from books, really. No, I definitely haven't had any characters this year who I've like had a crush on in any kind of way. So next question is newest favourite character. Again, I haven't really had any favourites. I thought Eve Black from The Nothing Man was kind of... It's a little bit difficult because she's mostly writing as an author and you're reading her book inside the book. But I quite liked her character that was portrayed in both the book in the book and the Nothing Man. Also Remy, I can't remember her surname, from The Carrow Haunt by Darcy Coates. I quite liked Remy. I quite liked that book. I think it was the only Darcy Coates book I've given a 4. Both of them. Quite a few of the women in Salt Slow, but not all of them have names, so I can't really pick any of them. And again, I do want to say from To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, but again, I haven't finished the book, so I figure it doesn't count. A book that made me cry. I don't remember crying to anything this year. I remember crying to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet last year, but I haven't had anything that's made me tear up this year. Maybe that will change in the second half. A book that made me happy, the Heartstopper books, and the Heartstopper mini short story that was based on Becoming Human. Detroit Becoming Human. They made me happy because they're just like cute little love story of 2 gay teens, and it's very sweet. So it kind of makes you feel like happy inside that, nice, happy, purity things can happen in the world, especially this world. The most beautiful book I've bought or have been gifted so far this year. I've got 2. So Pine I got because it's pretty. It's got fun like copper coloured stuff, and then there's a tree on the pages. So I thought this was pretty. And then I also really like the Salt Slow cover. All the little dots and the words have got like spot UV on, so it's not just a plain flat colour image. But I thought this was really pretty. And what books do I need to read by the end of the year? A lot. I made a list yesterday of books that I want to read soon or now, and it's this, and this isn't even all of it because I ran out of space and forgot a bunch. So I ended up with, I think, 25 books plus a bunch of audiobooks, and this doesn't even include my 2020 must-reads. Included in my 2020 must-reads, in addition, is The Priory of the Orange Tree, The Arkle Conundrum, The 12 by Justin Cronin, Reality is Not As It Seems by Carlo Rovelli, and something else that I now can't remember. So there's lots. Whether or not I get to read all of these books by the end of the year, I don't know. There's at least over 30 at this stage, not including books that haven't come out yet. So it's a little bit hectic. lost in my brain trying to figure out what to read next. And then the last question is a favourite book community member. So I've just picked a couple of booktubers that I like. Kat from Paperback Dreams and Cindy from Read with Cindy. Both of whom have really huge channels, and they both are in the Papercut Book Club. I just really like both of their channels and their style of booktubing, I suppose. So yeah, those are my two favourite book community members. So that is everything for the mid-year book Freakout tag. There is a car idling outside, which we'd probably be able to hear, which is really annoying, but never mind. So yes, I will see you in the next video, and those were my answers to the questions. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, share, whatever. Stay safe. Take care. See you later. Bye.